I've got a letter today from a man who fell down a particular rabbit hole in his porn addiction. And it's not the first time I've heard a similar story. So I wanted to share this because I think some of you out there may have done something similar, and some of the rest of you maybe need to hear this as a preventative measure before you escalate this far in your own addictions. He writes, "Hey Noah, hope you're having a lovely day. I know I am. After joining your program and finally taking the steps I probably should have 10 years ago. Better late than never, I suppose. The best time to plant a tree, as they say, was 10 years ago in your case. Second best time is now. Don't let the regret of years of inaction, of that wasted time, keep you trapped in a status quo that you don't want. There's plenty of life left ahead of you, and every single guy I've ever worked with has had some degree of this kind of regret. I get it, but we have to get over it and move on. A little bit of background info about me is in order. I'm 27 years old, turning 28 this year. I'm also getting married in a couple of months, right before my birthday. Congratulations, brother. I guess the most important piece of information about me right now is that I've been addicted to pornography in various forms and other kinds of compulsive sexual behavior for around 15 years. Well, let's do the math. 27, 15 years, you were 12 when you started, or you were 12 when you first got addicted. Maybe you even started earlier than that. I'm sure you've heard this a million times before, so I'm not going to bore you with the details. I started very early, around 10 years old, there we go. Although I can't be sure about that. I never really realized I had a problem until trying to have sex for the first time. PIED. That's porn-induced erectile dysfunction, if you're new here on this channel. Again, pretty typical scenario. And in my desperate search for answers, I stumbled upon the no-fap movement, and along with it, one of your videos. It was the mystery box show talk that you gave. I'm glad you found that information. That's why I started speaking about this, so that at least the information would be out there to be found by those who needed it and were searching for it. Of course, I decided to give it a try, and to no surprise, it worked. Only a couple of days into my first streak, I was able to lose my virginity and have sex without any real issues. I was so happy I finally found the answer to my problem that I decided to keep the streak going for a whole 30 days. To this day, that is the longest streak I ever achieved. Well, that's a remarkably fast recovery. Me, it took at least 2.5 months, even for it to start to work, and then more months after that for it to get to the point where I felt like this is how my body should function for intimacy. For you, a couple of days. I'm guessing you were a daily user, if that's the case, if 2 or 3 days was enough for you to get your sexual abilities back for real life sex. And that's great. It's great that you weren't so deeply wired for pornography that it only took a few days to get back to being able to have real sex. I will warn you, it can get worse if you keep relapsing, if you keep circling back in the binge and purge cycle, going back to porn. You can deepen those grooves, deepen that wiring for pornography. And when you eventually do leave it behind for good, it can be a much longer recovery than the first time. So my advice is to do whatever you can right now to get yourself out of this cycle, to build a permanently porn-free life. Of course, that's what I spend a lot of my time helping people to do. So I'm glad that you've already joined, sounds like, my Reboot Club server. And I hope you join the meetings that we have there too. That you may have already done so. I got this email and I'm not sure if you're using the same screen name as your email, but if I haven't already met you yet, I hope to meet you soon and see the progress that you're going to be making now that you're a part of a team and you have that accountability and that support. I hope you also take advantage of the online courses that I sell that guide you step by step through everything people need to do to become permanently porn-free. You can find out, dear listener, about all those resources. Go down to the description below, click on the link tree. I guess this is a good time to introduce my other problem, which really is the main problem, and that is catfishing, essentially. Not for financial gain or any other nefarious purposes, but for over 10 years, I've been going to different chat rooms and pretending to be someone I'm not, for the purposes of roleplay and fantasy. I forgot to turn off the cat fountain. Sorry if there's been bubbling in the background. Over the years, I must have created dozens of different accounts using real pictures of real people, making up fake stories and fake lives, and essentially living out my fantasies through that. In all honesty, this is what hurts me the most. Those are real people somewhere out there. I'm stealing someone's pictures, making up fake identities, sometimes almost to the point of forgetting who I am in the process. It's my deepest and most shameful and terrible secret. At least it was, until a couple of days ago. Escalation is the name of this game. It affects almost everyone I've ever worked with. It can be as simple as you're using more frequently, or when you are using, your sessions last for longer. But most often it involves some method of ramping up the intensity of the experience. Many people escalate to more and more explicit or extreme forms of porn. Maybe they start using VR. Maybe they start paying for custom content or personal attention on a platform like OnlyFans. Or they start pushing their escalated porn-induced desires into their real-life relationships and sexual encounters. They might start paying for sex and those fantasies to become real in real life. Or some will find other ways, paths less commonly trodden, but still not rare, in order to find their thrills. One of those ways is catfishing, and you're certainly not the first person I've worked with or heard talk to me about this. Some people will pretend to be a woman if they're a man, and they can get off on that, hearing what people say to them, getting that experience of receiving the kind of attention that a beautiful woman receives. Others will pretend to be a man, maybe a man of a different race or a different age, different level of attractiveness, to get that sort of attention that they crave, that maybe they don't get in their real life. And yeah, it can spiral. It can go pretty deep and get pretty dark, because it becomes much harder to say to yourself, I'm not hurting anyone but myself, because you are deceiving people. Maybe some of them want to be deceived, sure, you might tell yourself that, but not all of them. And I understand how that can deepen the amount of shame that you feel as an addict, which is already a pretty deep well for most of us, especially those addicted to porn or other sexual behaviors. I couldn't tell you exactly what compelled me, he writes, but a couple of days ago I decided that enough is enough and told my fiancée everything. When I say everything, I really do mean everything. She is the first person I ever told any of this. I must be the luckiest idiot in the world, because to my surprise, she reacted amazingly well. She instantly offered support, understanding, empathy, and talked to me about getting help. Truly, I don't know what I did to deserve her. Congratulations, man. It takes a lot of courage to open up, be vulnerable and honest about something that you've been ashamed of for so long and that you've kept secret and hidden for so long. It doesn't always go as well as it did for you, but it goes well more often than many people fear. People don't expect you to be perfect. They expect you to have flaws, they expect you to have made mistakes, and to be a work in progress. Most people do admire the courage that it takes to be honest about that and to confront who you really are, the state that you're really in, and to move forward and grow. A quality partner is not looking for someone who is a finished product. They see the value in you and they want to be a part of your journey to improve. And that's a beautiful thing. So congratulations again. I joined your course. Just the server for now, but I will definitely be looking into other forms of coaching in the near future. I made steps to take away my ability to engage in that behavior. Since moving in with her, it's easier because all I have to do is stop taking my phone into the bathroom. One more point I would like to touch on, and it's also something I talked to my fiancée about. I feel like I need to atone somehow for all I've done. She told me just to move on and let it die, but the guilt is eating at me like never before. I've had moments of guilt before, but this feels all-consuming. Partially, it's what made me do all this in the first place. Putting my story out there and admitting to my deepest, darkest secret feels like the first step in the process of atonement. I haven't thought of anything concrete yet. I have no idea if there's even anything I can do. Well, our stories are powerful, and you've shared yours with me and with everyone watching this channel. And that, I know, is going to help somebody out there. Probably more than one somebody. And so I hope that that feels like a significant step forward in atonement. And if that's something that you feel like you need, don't let others tell you that it's unnecessary. But also be willing to give yourself that feeling of forgiveness once you feel like you've done enough to atone. Like, don't keep punishing yourself for it forever. None of us can change our past. We can only take new actions in the present to affect our future in the ways that we hope to. In the interest of not boring you to death, I'll end this letter here. Even just typing this out had a positive effect, I think. But trust me, I'm very much aware of how long this journey is going to be. Hope to hear back from you, and thank you. Well, thank you for sharing this letter. And anyone out there who also has a story that they want to share, maybe you're still on your journey, you want some feedback, but you've also got details that you'd like to share that you think could help others, send it my way. I won't promise to feature every story, but I will read every one. Noah@coachchurch.com. You can email me there. Have a wonderful, amazing, porn-free week. I'll see you next time.